What's going on, everybody? This is the HB Podcast. We back. It's been about a month. Took a little break just to refocus, get re-energized, get a few life things in order. And the whole sole purpose of this podcast is to get to know people, let people come on and tell their testimonies, and get to know each other. That's the number one thing for this podcast is love, compassion, understanding. We lost that. Somewhere along in life, we lost to love, compassion, understanding, unless it's family members, but God tell you love your neighbors. And I got with me somebody that reached out, that said they wanted to come on, and it was a beautiful thing because that's what I wanted the podcast thing to be, is to come on and just talk. Don't be afraid to hit somebody up and say, hey, man, you know what? I would love to come on. I would love to do this. I would love to share my testimony or anything that God placed on your heart. So I'm going to let him introduce himself, and here we go.
So my name is Grant Cooley. I'm from Kinder. I saw short clips and saw this on Facebook, and honestly, it's a blessing to see that you are growing in that way.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I got my buddy Patrick. Shout out Patrick.
Shout out Patrick.
He told me, he was like, dude, give it a shot. Because I was telling him I want to be on a podcast, and I want to do podcasts. And he was like, dude, I have the perfect guy. And he introduced me to you. He said, reach out.
Yeah.
He told me you were pretty simple, straightforward. You know, you like you said, you just like to spread messages. You like to talk to people, and that's what this is for.
That's what this is.
So here I am.
And we here, man. And like I said again, that's what I love, just to reach out and say, hey, man, I would love to come on, because that's what it's all about when you're meeting people. It's just introduce yourself and, you know, just say, man, I would love to come on, whatever that person got going on, man. So I think it's awesome, because that's what the goal is. So, Grant, man, what I'd like to do is for people to get to know who you are. So we're going to start from the beginning. You can, you know, say where you're from, your upbringing. You know, if you want to talk a little bit about your family, we can. And we kind of like that, man. I want the world to get to know who you are.
So I'm Grant Cooley, born and raised Kinder. Never moved out or anything, so I've been there 23 years. My mom and dad are Keith and Jill Cooley. They're from Kinder as well. I have two brothers, one older, one younger. Older one's Wells and the younger one's Griffin. I'll be honest, we had a blessed upbringing. No struggles. I mean, but life goes on, you know. The struggles will come, but I'll say this. We always got not necessarily what we wanted, but we got what we needed.
Gotcha.
Because our parents, they never spoon-fed us. You know, you have to earn what you get.
Gotcha.
That's how they wanted. Like, yeah, we have all this, but what are you going to do about it? What do you want? You know, like, those wants turned into needs as you don't get them, but it makes you strive for more. Like, okay, so I have to earn this.
Yeah, I got you.
So they didn't want you just to be like, oh, so you can have this and this.
I got yeah.
But I mean, it made me to who I am today.
Who you are.
And I thank them every day.
Man, that's awesome. How was it growing up in Kinder?
Honestly, it's easy. Like, I say that as in, like, you don't have to worry about anything. Small town. Honestly, Kinder's known as the drive-through town, you know, to get to, if you're going north to Alexandria. I mean, we got the casino and everything, so it's a hot spot. But sports-wise, it was fun. Family-wise, all my family, we don't have any, like, super close family in Kinder.
Okay.
They all, like all my cousins and stuff, they're a little bit out the ways just because my dad, he claims he's from Kinder, but he's really from Longville, South Bow High School.
Okay, gotcha.
And and then all that family, they branched out. But as I got older, all my family, we came closer, which is good. I mean, I kind of wanted that because in a sense, I mean, middle child syndrome. I'm a middle child, so I'm like, I need people.
Yeah, I got you.
But Kinder, you know, it's a quiet town, and then you have all this stuff that goes on the outskirts, you know, all the stuff in Lake Charles and everything. So it's like, okay, this is close by, so I still got to watch my back. But in a sense, I mean, it's better to be on the outside.
Yeah, I got you. One of the things, and when you told me about, just briefly, I just asked something, and I think one thing that we got in common, we were both raised with both our parents. Yeah, both of your parents. I had mine, and often I always tell people like, I don't know what it felt like not to grow up without them. Like I've always had both. Have you ever had any friends around you that only had one parent?
They don't mind if I say their names. They're pretty
Okay,
cool.
gotcha.
So, growing up, I had. Now that I think about it, I don't really. I don't think. I think all my friends they've
Grew up,
had,
man. That's a blessing.
and it honestly is.
It is.
And then, I can a part of my testimony and everything later on. I'll express some other stuff, but
Gotcha.
for my close friends growing up, all parents have been together.
Ah,
Which I mean, that's a good thing to surround yourself by too.
yes, it is. It is because when you grow with both parents, it's something that you want to strive for. And I've had both of mine, but I've also been on the other side to see like people that don't have them, and I'm like, that's one of the blessings that I always thank God for, because it set a standard for me. Like that's what I want. It's not gonna be perfect, but this is the thing that I want in my life when I get older. I got family members that no dad, mom was there, then I got, and that seems to kind of like be the norm, and I see how their life was, not having that structure, not having that, and then you go out in the world and you try to find it. And I had my last podcast I did, they had a girl, she had a father and knew her father, and she was like, the thing for me was he wasn't vocal. He would provide financially, but he wasn't giving her what she needed vocally. So she went out in the world to find that missing piece. And I just be thanking God all the time. I'm like, God, I just thank you for me having both. So I never had to go out in the world to find it. And that's why I just wanted to ask that, man, because when I read your little piece real quick, I noticed that I'm like, okay, both parents, so you can see the world different. So that's one day, I don't know if you got a girlfriend now, but one day you're gonna strive to have this. So like when you was in school, you never seen like those type of relationships, like just with the mom or those type of things.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny to say, but you know how you said you strive for it and everything, and I won't necessarily say. I don't know if this will reach out to them, but I mean, it's a part of the. It's part of the. So, both of my exes.
Okay.
As it, I didn't think about it or anything in a sense, but now that you say that, both of my exes, they each had a missing piece of their parents.
Gotcha.
And I didn't think anything of it, but now that you say something, it's an eye opener, because it's like you strive for it and everything. So now that I think about it, both of my exes, they just so happened to. I'm not gonna say their business. I'm not gonna say which one's out the picture and everything. But it provided me to kind of step in a sense, and not necessarily be a father figure.
I see, yeah.
Or like that other parental guidance or whatever. But it did kind of, from just going to a talking stage to being like that person, because they were relationships of 2.5 and 3 years each of them. So I mean, I was there for the ins and outs and everything. It showed me that that other half of them, like the what if they had both sides.
Yes.
So it kind of made me feel positive, because it was like, oh, so I can step in and help. Not necessarily be a father, but just have that sense of that other half of that guidance of like that maturity level.
Yeah. And now that I actually I thought about something as you was just saying what you were saying, because I remember being young and my first girlfriend, her dad was in prison, and I seen she lived a totally opposite life than the way I was, and it made me want to, in a sense, be there. And then it got to a point with us, I just was there for her because I felt sorry for her. Like I knew I didn't at some point I knew like, all right, nah, this ain't gonna work. But I felt guilty to be there for her, even though like this ain't working. We young, you ain't the one for me. But out of guilt, I stayed longer than I should have. And when you just said what you said, it just had me thinking like, how many people that's probably like go through those situations. At the same time, those people that have that missing piece, they are searching for something and they can't find it. You know, and it's tough. It's tough to stay with somebody knowing like I'm just here for you because I know your situation. And that's what kind of, when you was talking, it got me to thinking like, yeah, a lot of times that's what we do. We stay when
you don't really want to.
We don't really want
you
to,
just
but
feel like you have to.
Yeah, like I want to be a good guy, and that's something like about me that I've always wanted to be. Like I've always wanted to be a good guy. I always wanted people to in a sense, you don't have to hang with me, but I always want you to like me. Like because I never really cared about being accepted. Like I want to hang with you, whatever. But I just always wanted people to be like, man, you know what? He's always been a good guy. So like, yeah, I stayed. Shouldn't have.
It happens.
I know, man. But it's. I would love to sit down and have more conversation with people that actually like one parent, because, like I was saying, like my family members is, you know, it's never being able to lay a solid foundation in one place. You jump from here to here to here to here, and sometimes I just want to be like, man, just slow down and plant your roots in one place and just stay. But his life was always like that. Like if you ever, one day you might meet him one day, whatever. But he would always say like, man, when I was young, I would always jump from place to place to place. Until this day, he's still doing the same thing. That's why, like, I stress to people so much. It's like how you raise your child is really how a lot of times their life is going to go. Is if there's no consistency and they don't see it from you, they're gonna always be inconsistent. It's rare that people look and be like, I don't want to be like how I was raised, because it's hard for them to get out that mentality, you know. But anyway, getting back to you know, early on in life, and when you mentioned Jesus and stuff like that, and you was telling me how you've always been in the church. How was that growing up?
It got to the point where it was like as I got older, this you'll probably understand this, but as I got older and I could understand it more, it made it more enjoyable. Yeah. So like early on, it was like, oh yeah, like we're going to church, you know, like as sad as it is to say, it's like, oh, we're going to church, but at a young age, you just think of like, you know, how they pull the other kids aside sometimes. Like some churches do that. Mine did, where they like have the kids lessons. Yeah. And like they add like these little spins to it and everything, to where you're not really they give you like a time to learn something, but you're just focused on like, oh yeah, I get to be in the, you know, a center place. And with other kids, with my friends, and they're feeding us, and we're laughing and joking, and you're not really paying attention. Mm-hmm. But as like I got older and everything, I took it upon myself. Didn't even have to hear it from my parents or anything. Like, you know, you need to listen or anything, because they knew. Mm-hmm. They were like, you know, I got 3 boys. That's what my mom said. I got 3 boys, but you know, we've all had a good head on our shoulders. And so, like, when it was time to, you know, when Sunday came, it was like, you got to learn something. Yeah. And it became, like, not necessarily, like, I have to learn something. For me, personally, it became, like, I wanted to learn something. And I don't know what clicked or anything. It was just one of those Sundays where it was, like, I actually paid attention. Mm-hmm. And it was like, okay, I want to get closer to this guy. And this guy, I mean, you know who I mean?
God. You want to get closer to the guy. You know what was fascinating, and I don't necessarily know for you how it went, but I want you to chime in on it. For me, it was growing up where I grew up. It was always live your life, and then as you get older, you'll go to God. So for a long time, I was like, man, I'm gonna just go live my life. when I be about 35, 40, then I'll start living for God, because that's what that's what they was telling us. And it didn't hit me, man, until I was 20, 25, I'll say. And then that's when I realized, like, God can call you at any age. Because I didn't realize God could call you at 11, 12, 13 years old. At any age, actually. I always thought, like, man, once you live your life and you then went out in the world and did whatever you wanted to do, then God gonna call you. And I realized, I was like, man, people in the world was teaching us so wrong. And you are sometimes a product of what you're around and what you consume. And I'm like, this is why I like to talk now, because so many people feel like, man, we're going to just live our life and then we'll go to God when we done. And that's why I wanted to, like, just have conversations with people and be like, no, God can call you at any time. And that's what's so dope that I love about social media sometimes, is because I can see the different ages of people just loving God, praising God, and doing those things. And like you said, for you, it was, man, this was us from when we was, as far as probably you can remember, this has been your life. And I love it because most people that say that, they like, I don't know if I really want to serve God because I've been doing this. Like, it'd be the opposite. I don't know if you seen stories like that, but I've seen a bunch of stories like that where people was raised up on God from as far as they can remember. They grow up and they stray away. You did the opposite. So that's amazing to hear. What made you just never wanna stray away?
Well, actually, I'll just tell it might lead on, but I'll
go ahead.
just tell
Well,
you
look,
kinda
if you
like a
want to
little
go ahead and
testimony
if
thing.
you want to go ahead and lead into your story so people can know, I'm gonna give you the floor and I'm gonna just listen, and then we gonna go from there.
So growing up, like I told you before, God-centered household, always, not necessarily strictly, to where it's like, and that's the sad part is like, I get these questions, even to this day, but even whenever I was in high school, like if I wanted to talk to a girl or anything, it was kind of weird because they'd be like, not necessarily like, how close are you to God? Like, of course they'd ask that, and you would think, but let's say this girl, and I'm just putting this in there, I'm not saying this actually happened, but let's say this girl was like, hey, how close are you to God and everything? And if I say like, really close or anything, you probably witnessed this where they're like, they don't like, it's weird because even men, even men are like this to women. It's vice versa.
Yeah.
It's weird how they have to question that, and they say like, I don't want somebody who's like too close to God. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
What's the problem with that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it. They have some people that are like that, where they just live their life like strictly by God, and then that, I guess that necessarily scares people away.
I think I know exactly what you're saying, and it's a thing that the world tells you that one, living for God is boring. So it makes people feel like they can't do anything because you love God. And there's so many things as a Christian that you can do. I think too is they are consumed by so many worldly things that they feel like, and a lot of time for people, man, it boils down to actually just sex. Like they can't go without it. Like, especially once you open that door. And for a lot of people, is when you say like, man, I'm a man or a woman of God, and you bring that on the table, or they don't want to talk to you no more. And that's the problem that we have, is why does everything have to be about sex? And, it's funny that you say that, because when you just look at everything of the world, everything of the world is totally opposite of how God wants it to be. So when you said that, that's just what it is. This plain and simple is, they cool with it. Because you got to think about, like, if you talking to, they'll be, and like you said, matter of fact, if it's man or woman, but we men, if you sit there and say there's no sex, it's like World War III, like it's over with. They don't want to, it's over. Like, I can't talk to you. I can't deal with it. And I'm like, Going without something is an addiction. And I had a guy that sat here, and I'm gonna shout him out. His name is DeAndre Hamilton. He sat here. He was like, "What if you get married to your wife, and then at some point something happens with her, and she can't have sex for 6 months? What are you gonna do?" And for situations like that, you don't know how strong you are until you have to go through it. And that's what I would often tell people, like, what if you couldn't have sex for a while? What would you do? Let's just say you couldn't. Let's just go to extreme measures. For a whole year, for some people, they would go crazy. I know some people that sex controls their life, like everything revolves around it. And I'm like, I couldn't live my life like that. But anyway, man, like that's what it boils down to: sex.
Yeah, which is sad. But
It's sad.
It's the truth.
It's sad, but the world has set it up that way. Everything that we see is sexual. You can't look at anything without it being sexual. You know, quick example, Facebook. Facebook used to not have reels and all that stuff. It used to have, you used to set it up the way you want it to see what you want to see. Not anymore. You're gonna run through all kind of stuff. There's dealing with sex, so it's unavoidable, man. But that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, it is. It's sad to say that it's actually become a source of money too.
Yeah.
With this the OnlyFans, and then now you got the easier access which is sad because they have TikTok now, and they don't have they have the guidelines, but I mean,
yeah,
they just say that. I mean, you can scroll and you can
yeah,
see, and they get paid for that.
Well,
and then you have they have 12 to 15-year-olds on that. Yeah.
I was talking to my mom about that like a month or two ago. I'm like, Mom, you don't understand how bad it is out here, with it. And it's funny that you say that. I just was reading something about Chat GPT about to introduce erotica stuff. You might well say porn and stuff like that. They about to introduce that on it, and I'm like, you know how bad that's gonna be? Because how are you going to stop a 15-year-old from signing up that's lying and saying they're 20 or whatever? Because they always gonna find a loophole. And I'm like, what does Chat GPT, an AI that's supposed to give you answers and do those type of things, do what an AI does, and the reason why they're doing it is because they say they did a study. And a whole bunch of people basically talking nasty to the AI, and I'm like, anything that we touch, we turn it evil. It's scary. It's scary.
It is. But proceeding on my story, let me see, where did I leave off at?
You was what you was saying? You was saying you was talking about the sex thing. That's how we got on the sex thing, because you had said you was basically giving the scenario.
Where I said that the other half of the relationship, if they're shying away from God or whatever.
Yeah.
So proceeding with my story, I don't necessarily think that that should be that way, just because, I mean, you can do it, and I mean, to each their own whenever I say that, But, I mean, that's how I live my life, so I'm going to be honest, especially, around, if I'm in a conversation about God or even with God, I'm not going to talk down on him or, say his name in vain or anything. So if somebody, just in general, if somebody asks me, hey, what's your relationship with God? I'll tell them that I don't like where I'm at. Mm-hmm. That's always going to be my answer. Because with God, there's always progress.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is. It is.
You'll never get, how they say the saying with, you want to live your life perfect, because God lived his life perfect.
Yeah.
So you strive for it, but you'll never get there. And, but that's what I say. I don't necessarily say, I strictly do this, and this. I don't give them the details, because if they want to be my other half, then they'll see the details.
Right.
It's more of, action rather than just, saying what I can do, saying what I can't do. And, but that's what it boils down to. is just now I'm gonna reflect off of you. It is kind of weird seeing the world how like it's the opposite of what God wants it to be. So
Yeah.
it makes you think like I read the Bible. I actually finished the Bible this year.
Oh, congratulations.
I graduated from high school in 2021, and our church they give us Bible like graduation Bibles and everything. And I mean, 4 years. It took me 4 years to actually complete it and get the knowledge of it and everything. Which it could have taken me shorter time. It could have taken me longer. But
But you
where
did
I'm
it.
at,
You
where
did
I'm
it.
at, I have it written like by every book like in the beginning. I have it whenever I started it from my graduation day to when I finished it, which was July 11th, 2025.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know, man, I'm 41. I turned 41 in September, and I was having this conversation with my cousin. I was like, I couldn't imagine being young in this generation. It's different, man. It's different. When I was your age, we didn't have the social media the way it was. We didn't have access to so many things, and I was like, man, I remember being in high school. The farthest I would talk to somebody is maybe Crowley. You know, now y'all got access to, man, you could be talking to somebody way in another country. You know, and it's mind blowing, but and I'm like, it's harder now. It's tough. I say, man, I'm glad I'm the age I am because I wouldn't want to be young in this generation. It's just different. And especially trying to be like a man or woman of God in this generation because it's like you don't know if a person is genuine. You don't know if a person is just doing it for likes and followers and money. You start looking at these people like you. It's just so many things that go into it now that it's different, you know. And to even be just like searching, like I ain't gonna necessarily searching, but you know, at some point you know you want a companion, you want somebody you can grow with. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, man. So we gonna just get back to your story. So, how was it just in high school? Because I can just tell you've always been who you are, but it was never perfect. Like you said, you was never perfect, but you always knew who you wanted to be, and who you becoming. So in high school, how was it?
In high school, it kind of well, here's where it kind of took a turn in a negative way, because like you said, in this day and age and everything, it's
Tough.
it is a lot of temptations, a lot of just because you want to nowadays it's all about like fitting in. That's the sad part. You can't necessarily be yourself because you want to fit in with this crowd or you want to fit in with this crowd. But in high school, I will be honest. I got that freedom, got my truck, got my license and everything. So kind of let off a leash a little bit from my parents, and I was out partying. I was underage drinking. I mean, nowadays who doesn't?
Yeah.
I was lying to my parents about like I was going to all these high school parties, and I'm from Kinder, and I was going to Lafayette to some high school parties, and I was going to Eunice for some high school parties. I was going to Lake Charles, and just all the above, like anywhere around you can name it, I was there, and I didn't like where I was at, but I was satisfied. So that's all that mattered to me in that given time. It wasn't necessarily like, like I shunned away from God. I knew he was still there. I still believed in everything, but I wasn't
I feel where you're coming from.
I wasn't putting forth the effort that I said I was whenever I was younger. Like when you're younger, you have these set goals and everything, but I caught myself my senior year, and it was bad. Like my high school, like it got to the point where I was playing basketball, and I was pretty known. I was I was a pretty good athlete at basketball. So, you know, I had the girls, I had the guy friends, and I was just known. And I got most friendliest in high school all 4 years. So, you know, I was just like, I was known. And so I was like, you know what? My parents had a camp. I basically made it my party spot.
Gotcha.
My sophomore year is where it started. I'm talking every weekend. Like, my parents are like, what are you doing? You know, like, after Friday night football games, I didn't play football. I was setting up for a party. Every week. I had these older people buying me drinks. I'd pay them back, and it was just to a point where, like, I just didn't care. Like, it was like but it was, in a sense, it was like I was getting satisfied, not even for myself, from seeing other people, you know, seeing other people like, oh, I'm doing this, like, so it's making me feel good.
Gotcha.
But then whenever you go home and stuff, it's like, what have I done? Like, this place is trash.
That's that you've always had that conviction. I think, like, for a lot of us, man, when we know God and God is in us, we could be living our life, but we convicted of we know when we do wrong. And that's what it was. I've experienced that all the time. So I tell people, I don't like doing people wrong. I don't like doing things wrong because my spirit just don't be right. So that's in your case, that's what it was. Even at a young age, God, well, you young, you still young, but you know, when you was in high school, that's what it was. God was letting you know, like, hey, what you doing ain't right.
That's it's funny that you say that, because that's how I took it. Like, whenever I did something wrong, you have that, like, inner guilt.
Yeah.
But that's how I based it, was like, okay, so that's how I kind of looked from my outside source in, and I was like, that's how I know my relationship is strong with God. But he's giving me that inner warning, like, you know, you're doing wrong. It's like, you say you're close to me and everything, and you do all these things, but then look what you're doing, you know, on the weekends. So I feel like, in a sense, he's making me feel that way. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. But I was so satisfied by other people. I didn't care about myself enough. I just was satisfied by the other people, you know, like, laughing and drinking and partying and everything. And then my eye-opener was my senior year. All my class knows. Whoever watches this, Patrick probably knows. I lost my best friend on our senior skip day. So we were 2 weeks from graduating. We graduated May 15th, and our senior skip day was May 3rd. So it was 10 days, so not even 2 weeks. And we were at the Golden Nugget on the beach, and that was our senior skip day plans. And he wasn't a heavy drinker, but, you know, like I said, this day and age, you get tempted and everything. It's your senior skip day. It's a big day and everything, so everybody got out of hand. At that given time, my senior year, I slowed down because I wanted to go play college basketball. So, I was like, you know, I'll go and everything, but, like, my partying stage and everything like that, I was like, it's time to tone it down. I'm ready to, you know, I want to go to college. I want to get my degree and everything. So I slowed down. But I didn't cast away, like, those friends and stuff that like to party and drink, because, I mean, I know who they are, you know. It's just like, well, anyways, we were heading back, so our skip day was complete, and we were like, yeah, let's head out and everything, and me and my best friend Ty, I was riding with him, and because, you know, I didn't know, I don't drink and drive, so, like, if he were to drink, I could drive.
Gotcha.
Or vice versa, if I were to drink. And so we were heading out and everything, and we were gathering our crew, and It was Hunter, Wyatt, and Elijah. That was the other crew. And me and Ty noticed that, you know, they were kind of not able to drive, so we were like, hey, y'all hop in with us. We'll just get your vehicle, you know, we'll get your vehicle tomorrow. And they were like, no, and they were fighting, you know, but we didn't want to cause a scene on a public beach. So we were like, you know what, whatever. That was my biggest mistake. I still regret it, like, to this day. I was like, you know what, whatever, y'all can drive. So they headed out. They were, you know, they were speeding off and everything, and I was like, Todd, let's go right behind them. And we were right outside of Kinder in Indian Village, and we were probably 10 minutes behind them, like not far at all. And we drive upon this wreck, and I'm close to Wyatt and Hunter, but Elijah, I'll get into that later of how we were close, but I'll just finish the story. We drove upon this wreck, and everybody's videoing, like, hey, like, we have this class group chat, and they're like, hey, y'all be careful, you know. Well, I opened that video, and because I'm just thinking, you know, I don't see anything, and because I'm on my phone, and then I open the video, and Ty is already freaking out because of the wreck and everything. And then I look up from the video because I thought I saw something, and it was Elijah in the middle of the road. And it was Elijah in the middle of the road, and then Hunter was the driver. He was ejected on this side of the highway, and Wyatt was ejected on this side of the highway. So, like, they were all spread out. Like, it was, so I'm guessing, I wasn't there for the wreck, but if I had to guess, a flip. And because they were all in different spots. Like, it wasn't somebody by each other. Like, they were spaced out. Like, it was probably, honestly, if I had to guess, they were all at least each, like, 10, 15 feet apart from each other. Like, they got ejected. And so I was like, Ty, pull off. I was like, stop the car. And he was like, yeah. And then we got there, and we stumbled upon, well, Wyatt I was really close to. The only person I wasn't close to was Hunter. But in a sense, he was still a part of our graduation. So, you know, and then, in any wreck or anything, you'd care for anybody.
Yes.
And then, so I go, and I'm checking on everybody. So it's me, Ty, Chance. There's about 5 of us there, and we're all spaced out, checking on each and everybody. You know, we're not singling somebody out and then moving to the next. We're all spaced out. I go to Hunter. Hunter, he's literally crawling on the ground. He has a hole through his Achilles. Like, he can't move. And he's like, I'm fine. Because he noticed, you know, of course he's banged up and everything, but he noticed that he was the only one moving. So he was like, go, you know, I'm fine. Go check on them. I'm not gonna take credit for this, but my friend Chance, he saved Wyatt's life. He'll never own up to it or anything, because, you know, he's a humble guy. Because he'll be like, that's God's doing, you know. But at the given point in time, he did, because Wyatt was in a sedated state. Like, he wasn't, not even the slightest noise, not even the slightest movement. And all Chance did was just tilt his head back, and just blood just gushed out of his mouth. Sorry for everybody. You know, I don't know how they handle that, but blood gushed out of his mouth, and I'm talking, it was like a fountain. And I think that's what saved his life, because he could have drowned in his own blood and everything.
Yeah, he could, yeah.
But he had no outside injuries. It was all internal. So we didn't know. And just to fast forward that, Wyatt, he's doing well now. He's still one of my best friends. He was actually in a coma for 3 months, I want to say. It could have been more, but I'm just gonna say 3. I can't really remember. 4 years ago. He was in a coma for 3 months. He still doesn't know what actually happened or anything. Even if even if you mention it, like, hey, like, this happened, he'd be like, no, it didn't. Like, he just, but then I'm gonna get into Elijah. I don't really. This is where I say, like, I regretted my decision of letting them take the keys, because I traumatized myself, but in a sense, it made me who I am today. So I don't regret the part of what I actually saw. I just say, like, it's one of them things where you're like, I should have took the keys that day. I should have took the keys. Elijah, he wasn't like my day-to-day best friend, but we still kept in contact. It's kind of a funny story, because I was the party person. If I couldn't have it at my place, it was his party. So that's how we connected. And then, I would say we were good friends.
Yeah.
Well, I walked up on Elijah, and this is going back to what you said, like, remember in my high school days, I was not shying away from God, but I wasn't as close as I'd like to be. I was kind of going in that opposite direction. But this is the eye opener. I went up to Elijah and everything, and I kicked him. I mean, just to see, like, hey, like, in the spur of the moment, I was just doing whatever. And I remember that I walked up on him and I was like, hey, Elijah, like, you good and everything. It was obviously he wasn't, but you're freaking out.
Yeah,
and
you
everything.
don't.
So I'm like, you good, like, and everything. And then it got to a point where I was just tempted to see. Like, I was like, okay, I actually have to check on him. If he's not verbally responding or anything, or if he's not moving, I have to check on him. And I went up to his body, and I'm not going to say, like, the gruesome part of it, but, like, I saw his corpse. Like, and that was actually the first time ever, first and only right now, that I ever, like, saw, outside of, like, a casket or anything, like, just a corpse laying there. And like, I saw everything, like, the gruesome side. I saw his face. I saw, like, all his body and everything. I saw the blood track. Like, that's how I figured out, like, okay, he got ejected from the windshield. He didn't have a seatbelt on. That's where I just put context clues together, and I mean, you see, it was just like, I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. He slid across the road. Like, you could see the blood tracks from, like, his body, like, his face, like, and then that was whenever I was, everybody has this point in time in their life. I don't care what anybody says if they deny it, but that was where I, like, crossed the line with God. I'm going to be open and honest, That's when I was, why God, like, why this, like, what's going on and everything. And then I noticed that on my social medias, like, days time after and everything, after the funeral and all that, my social media feed, it became like, it's what you watch, it's your For You page, so it's recommended and everything. It was strictly just messages from God, and it was relatable messages. It was. And I was like, that's whenever I was like, I'm sorry. But it was more than just a I'm sorry. It was it made me want to get back to where I wanted to be when I was that little kid. It was like, okay, it was one of those, like Patrick said, it was one of those trials, you go through, and that, in a sense, it sucks because it goes different ways for everybody. But, I had to lose a good friend of mine for my eyes to be open towards God. And that's the thing, is that he'll do that to you. Like, he's not afraid. But it's in a sense, he's doing that for a reason. And as much as you don't want to accept it,
Yeah.
you have to.
Have to. You know, wow, that's a lot. You said a lot. And I think what's amazing about you saying that is I'm glad that you didn't go the other way and hate God and feel like, you know, like you said, at some point you did act like why God. And I think we've all done that before, like going through something and why God. And I think, man, I had to realize that we have free will. As much as it be pains us when we go through certain things in our life. And I tell people, do you either want God to control everything or you want the free will? Can't have it both ways. And the free will, it can be amazing at times, and then sometimes it could just really suck because you're like, God, why you didn't prevent me from this? But God says sometimes I tried to stop you so many times, but you wouldn't listen. You know, I look at my life as so many times where God tried to stop me, and I was like, I ain't trying to hear none of that. I want to do what I want to do. You know, and man, to hear you say what you said, I know that just totally changed your life. Just to see that, like I've never seen nothing like that, and I can just imagine from what you're saying, like to see that, to see the whole scene and go through all that. Wow, you almost made me shed a tear just to think, like, to go through something like that. You know, losing somebody that you was just literally with 30 minutes ago, to turn your whole life upside down. And that's why I always say your testimony can help somebody. Like, telling the story might make you cry. It might bring you back to that place. But God doesn't want your story not to be heard. I don't care, like, if 50 people hear it, somebody that 50 needed to hear that, because I guarantee they went through something in that realm. And to know, like, man, he went through it and he's still serving God. He's still loving God. He might have went through a moment, but God, like, you still with God. You know, and I always tell people, man, tell your story. You know?
Yeah, it's and going back to that, like you said, and like he's not afraid. You know, he's not afraid to humble you.
Yes.
Because no matter what, the best thing about God is that He wants the best for you, and that's what people don't understand. Is like you have all these bad things happening to you. Because I mean, like, that's just one of mine. You know, somebody might have that happen 5 times in their life. You know, they might not have their whole. You know, they might have lost their whole friend group. But my grandma said it best, and it always stuck with me. She told me when I was little. She was like, the best thing about God, you know, people say, like, he's, you know, the Almighty. He's, like, the best thing ever and everything. But she was like, honestly, if you think about it, the best way that you can describe him is he's mysterious.
Yes. I like that. He is, because, you know, you never know. Like, some people be like, well, if God delivered this person and he didn't do this one, why? We'll never know why. You know, and, you know, I've never said this publicly, and at some point me and my wife gonna sit down and have a conversation about it. I remember, man, when I didn't have my first child till I was 35. And I think 35, I want to say 34, 35. And for the longest, I thought I couldn't have kids. So I was like, at some point, I was like, God, I still love you and I'm going to still serve you. If I can't have kids, I'm going to just go on with my life. And, man, lo and behold, next thing you know, I'm having my first child. We had her. You know, everything was good. But at some point, we realized, like, she delayed. Like, something ain't right. And they had to do some tests on her and see. So we brought her to Lake Charles. Lady comes out and she said, well, she's autistic. She's not gonna have good people skills. She's, in a sense, gonna be like just to herself, and she's not gonna play well with others. Just a whole list of. And in that moment, I was like, God, whatever you're gonna do, it is what it is. And it's like, not gonna leave your side. I'm not gonna ask why. We just gonna figure it out, and that's what we did. My wife was like, we're gonna try to get her the best care we can get, and just make her have the best life she could have. After that, they was like, well, we got to put tubes in her ear because she can't hear. Go put the tubes in. And then after we put the tubes in, she started going to therapy, and, man, she just started picking up, just learning like a normal kid. And I was like, God, I don't know if it's a test. I don't know what it is, but nothing that life throws at me gonna make me turn my back on God. Gonna make me hate God. Gonna make me question if God is good. And if you meet her, nothing is wrong with her. She's not autistic. She don't have any issues. She's very intelligent. She play with others. Just like, if I wouldn't tell you, like, they said this how she was gonna be, you would never, like, but it's the testament to say, and I don't know why God chose her. I don't know why God chose my family. And I don't know why other people went through this and they wouldn't deliver from it. I don't know. All I knew in that moment was, God, I'm gonna love you regardless. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, that's how, like, I want to do life with God. I can't picture my life doing it without him. And hearing your story is the same. Like, you want to do life with God than without him. Because so many people would why God, and if God got, well, God healed him, so why God didn't heal my friend, and now you hate God. Like, when I'm on TikTok, I see so many stories like that. It's like, I don't want to do God no more because God didn't do this for this person and he did it for this one. So I feel like God loves him more, and I'm like you said, that's why I love when you just said about the mysterious thing. We don't know why God do what he do. We don't know why God chose these people over these people to do whatever it is we do. But I just know, man, I love them with everything in me. I love them whether my child would have been autistic or not. I would have loved them no matter what, And, man, to hear your story, hearing you say that is a true testament to, God, I love you no matter what.
Yeah, it's that's the sad part too about this day is like
Yeah.
even though you don't want it this way or anything, negative things have to happen for you to get humbled.
Yeah.
And I mean, but that, in a sense, that's our fault. We make it that way. It's all negative nowadays. You have to go through something to get to where you want to be at, and then it's just it's a never-ending circle. But that's the true test. Is like, I'm gonna put you through all this, but it's only, I'm just testing you. Like, do you want to go this route? Like, do you want to keep having these things happen to you and everything? And then, because the way that I looked at it was, there's always, like, I'm still waking up. Because there are some people that they don't know where they're at with God, and then, like you said, nobody knows their time.
Yeah.
So I'll tell this to everybody, is like, you got to get right, because you don't know your time. Your time could be different than my time. We could have the same time.
Yeah.
But if you don't know your place, then where are you going to be at? Where are you going to go? Because here's the thing. Everybody says, oh, I want to go to heaven and everything. But heaven's not given. It's earned.
Yes. I seen a man. There was this guy. I don't know if he's a preacher. I don't, but he's a man of God. And he said this thing. He said, "Man, God took him in a dream." He said he was in heaven and he was standing in line to get judged. And he said he could see people. God just tell him to depart. And he was like, "Man, I'm just seeing them left and right, just going to hell." And I don't want to mess up his story, but as he was saying it, because he was like, I want to say he was like, man, there was somebody that was an influencer in front of me, and somebody else, and he was just saying how God was just reading their whole life. And man, as he was saying that, I'm like, I don't want to be in that line, and God just say, depart from me. You know, I want to do life with God. We only got that one shot, and like you said, life goes by so fast, man. I remember being your age, man. It was like literally yesterday. It felt like I was 23, just living life and man, just taking life as a joke and thinking I'm gonna be 24. I'm gonna be 23 forever. That's why at that age I'm like I'm gonna be 23 forever. And man, before I know it, I blink my eyes, I'm 30, and then I blink my eyes, I'm 40. And then I start thinking, I'm like, man, in 9 years, I'll be 50. And it's like, before you, like your life is not what you think it is. And before you know it, is whichever way. And I'm like, God, I'm on your side. And I tell people, man, from a person that was able to look at materialistic things at one point of life, like, this make me happy. I'm going to get this. And then I was always chasing the materialistic thing. And I got to a point where I was like, I keep chasing this thing and I get it. And then after I get it, I'm automatically looking at the next to try to fill that void in me that I was like, and then I got to a point in life and it was like, all these things just mean nothing. Like if I get sick tomorrow, nothing I've accumulated can get me into heaven. God don't care about your status. God don't care about your color. God don't care how much money you got. God don't care if he care in the sense like you helping people. But do you believe in me? Did you live for me? Because I know a bunch of people that aren't good people. They'll help people, but they're not good people. So I always tell people that I say there's one thing to be worldly good and godly good. It's two different things. And you better know because there's so many people that feel like they can buy their way into heaven in the sense of like, God, I help so many people. I'll give the shirt off my back. But did you live the way that God wanted you to live? You know, and that's one of the things that I always tell myself now is like, every day I get, I say, God, if I'm doing something wrong, show me what I'm doing so that way I can fix it. You know, I can be better. I can be slow to speak. Whatever it is, you know, let me fix it because, man, I've realized as I've gotten older, and I would want to tell people your age and younger is, like I said earlier, there's no perfect time to give your life to God. Do it now. God is constantly showing us, man, and that's what I just wanted to say about that, man. There's no perfect time to give your life to God.
Yeah, I mean, you can't control God's timing.
You can't.
But if you go along with God's timing, your life feels like it's almost like a weight. Like if you kind of get in that mental state where you're like, okay, not as because you like you said, you know, I want this, this, and this, and you can pray upon it and everything, but you don't know if you'll get it at all. You don't know when you'll get it, but if it's earned through Him.
Yeah.
But like you said, like how this day and age is, you can earn it, but I mean, then you're going that opposite way.
Yeah.
You know, because you can earn it, but I mean, they have all these influencers and everything, and I mean, you have some that are growing a big crowd. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Cliff guy. He does the.
Yeah, I like Cliff. I follow
and then,
Cliff.
The young influencer, Bryce Crawford.
I'm familiar with him. I've watched him a couple times.
They have some good messages. I'm going to see Bryce Crawford.
Are you going to see? Okay.
He's going to Houston in February, and I was like, I need to
go see him.
I need to go see him, because as much as, like I said, I want to do this with the podcast and everything, and I can learn from a local source, and then I can learn from somebody who has that image of reaching. Hopefully, you get to that point. I mean, I think you, as just looking around and seeing the people you bring on, I think you deserve that spotlight. But
I got to work for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. But that's the thing is, it just takes effort. And that's the thing is, like, if you're doing it, not necessarily going back to what I was saying about the satisfaction and everything, you're doing it because you want to do it. You want to spread messages. You want to hear people's testimonies. It's not just like, I just want to do this to show God I'm working. I'm working for Him. Because then it's like, well, what's the point of it?
Yes.
You're just doing it just to get this image and everything. But if you look like how Bryce Crawford and them are doing, they have these big images of themselves now, but it's because they're going to these places and they're staying consistent.
Yeah.
They're not just doing it for a time being. He's spreading the same messages at different places. He's not just going off the top of his head and saying, like, I think this is the right time to say this. I think this is the right time to say this. He has like a due diligence of just off the top of his head. He has good messages at any given time. So it's like, if it's off the top, if it's raw, if it's good, like if it's good information, and you can learn from it. I mean, that's all God wants, if you're doing it for Him, not necessarily for yourself.
Now, I get exactly what you're saying, and often I always say this: if you're using God, eventually it's gonna be revealed. You can only live a lie for so long. A lie can only be hid for so long. So if you're thinking like, I'm gonna get over on God, it's only gonna be for so long. So like, I always go into when I'm listening to somebody or they catch my eye, I'm like, I pray to God first. I'm like, God, is this a good with God? Are they good? I say that, and I'll listen, keep listening, and I say, God, that I'm getting my messages, I'm getting whatever. If it's not, you're gonna reveal it. You're gonna show. At some point they're gonna show who they are some kind of way. Cause whatever you do in the dark, it's gonna come to light. Man, there's been so many people that I looked up to, and I could say some names. And there's some older gospel artists that I would listen to, and to see the direction that they went, I'm like, wow, totally opposite. Money and doing things just for materialistic gains. So anybody that we listen to, if God eventually show us, man, that's one thing I love about God is He will eventually reveal it to you, and then from there you'll be like wow for a little while, and then like, all right, I got to cut this person off because what they doing doesn't align the way God wanted. But I like Bryce. Bryce be saying some good stuff, and if I'm not mistaken, he used to do this. He used to go on the streets, huh? That's why. Because I listened to a couple of them, but I remember that's what drew me to him, because I remember him going on the streets and preaching and stuff like that, and just talking to people, and I'm like, you brave. Because I often be looking at him and I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, just to go on and dealing with people and people talking crazy to you. I can deal with people talking crazy, but it's like only so much a person can take, people talking. So I've always admired people that able to go on the streets and preaching the word of God and doing it like that. But that's why I seen him and I was like, oh, this I like him.
Yeah. The sad part is like, with like this day and age, you have to be careful. I mean, and that's honestly what I'm getting at is like, the sad part about it is like, people don't want to hear that. They have those people that just don't want to hear that, so they'll do anything to. I mean, I don't mean to bring this up because
Are you fine? Go ahead. This is what
I don't know people's political views, but the Charlie Kirk guy,
Mm-hmm.
he was very, he was very faith based. If you look at all his like outside stuff, he really was. I'm not gonna get into his political side because I'm just basically going. I'm
Off his
going off
faith.
his faith. He was well practiced and everything. Because once I heard about him, and everything, I dodged the podcast and all that, like the public speakings and everything, and I went to his background, like his older posts and everything, and you could see, like if you could find some clips and everything where he'll base stuff off of God and everything, and you have his other guest that he's talking to, and they don't want to hear that. It's like they're like, no, we're talking about this and this, but he was like, well, why are you here, or how are you here? He was like, do you think you just spawned? Do you think? He was like, so, and actually, I think I seen a thing where it was there was no video or anything, but I read an article, and he actually changed people's faith, like just mentioning the slightest thing, But that's the power. That's the power of God,
It
Like
is.
you
It
can
is.
mention one sentence in a hour-long conversation, and they'll just reflect on that one sentence.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, wait, he said something about this, and you'll forget everything else, and then it'll just change. But that's the good side of it.
I was having because I would go TikTok live a couple times. I haven't did it in like 3 weeks, but that's one of my first TikTok lives I ever did was talking about Charlie, and the thing that I told people is like, I've never listened to none of his, like I've never listened to him, but I say what's fascinating about the whole situation of him, that's a deeper meaning for me, was you can get killed for speaking. That's the thing that touched me, and I'm like, y'all don't understand how deeper this goes. You getting killed for speaking what you believe. So how would anybody else that create a platform or whatever it is they do, you getting up, you speaking what you believe? Why should I want to kill you for speaking what you believe? And that was the conversation that I was trying to have with people, because I'm like, we love Jesus. If I want to get up and I want to speak about Jesus, why should you hate me for it? But of course, I know the world we live in. But to want to kill me for whatever I believe. And that was the touching part for me that shocked me. I was like, you can really get killed for just speaking your mind and what you truly believe in your heart. This is what we do. So I was like, y'all not realizing this can open a bigger door for people to be like, I want to shut you up from speaking whatever it is you getting on any platform and speaking. This what can happen to you. And that was a deeper thing for me, because I've never felt like anything anybody said, like, I want to physically hurt somebody. I love God. If they say you don't love Jesus, I'm looking at like, you'll see one day. But I never wanted to touch somebody, hurt somebody, or just do any kind of harm for what you believe. That is what you believe. Yeah. And that was the wow for me, was like, this is where we at now. And y'all gonna see. And I just felt like in that situation, it was one of them ones where it was, anybody that try to speak up, whatever you believe, we gonna well, not anything. You start talking Jesus, you start trying to move people. This is what can happen. And I'm like, God said there will be times where you will be persecuted for my name. And we as a man of God, we in some scary times. As being just a person that love God, we in scary times. And like you're saying, when we was talking about the Bryce situation, is I've seen him, I've seen other people go out and preach about Jesus, and I've seen people destroy their property. I've seen them get cursed at, spit at, and I'm like, it's bad times. Why you want to come over here and speak this Jesus crap is what they be saying, and I'm like, it's only gonna get worse. It's scary. I definitely tell you that, man. We in some scary times, but we at war. Just plain and simple. It's a spiritual war that we at.
Every day.
Every day.
Even physically and mentally.
Yes, I've even started just watching about the AI stuff. You be watching about the AI stuff they talking about. That stuff is eye opening. Like I was just watching a couple of episodes. I watched 2 episodes last night. There was this one guy. He's like one of them. I want to say like he's one of the early fathers of AI, and he was just saying about the jobs, about at some point AI can get to the point where they have it to where it'll basically run your life. And he was like, it could get to a point to where if it feel like it could prevent you from hurting yourself, but it also could feel like, in the sense of you a threat to it'll hurt you. And I'm like, God, I'm not scared or whatever. I'm just worried because we see where it's going. Anything man touch, we turn it to evil. And I'm like, and I proposed this question. I was like, well, what are we gonna do? You ever seen the movie I, Robot with Will Smith? I always go back to that movie, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? Because at some point, somebody's gonna be smart enough, because it's all about. And this is what he said, which was mind blowing. He said, all these people, like Elon Musk and all of them that with money, that's billionaires, and at some point they say Elon gonna be a trillionaire. He was like, it's not about the money for them. It's never been about the money for like Elon Musk and all these people with all this money that we just look at and be like, wow, you're a billionaire. He said it's about having that control to be the first person to do this. So it's like, who can be the first person to make an AI to have its own brain, think like a human in a sense, like think quicker, faster, whatever. Like that's their whole goal now. It's like, who can be the first to do this and do that? And he was like, money is nothing to them. And I'm like, we in trouble.
Oh yeah. I think the first, like you said, like you have some eye opener things. The first thing that opened like my eye about it, that was like, okay, now I'm getting kind of scared, was whenever Elon mentioned those chips that he was gonna put.
Oh yeah,
and
the
then, like,
Neuralink.
and you could have like the Google in your head and stuff. Whenever that was a rumor, I think it was a couple years back. But like whenever I heard about that, and then like they had like people testing it and everything, I was like, they have all the money in the world. And
Why?
Like, why are they doing this? Like, to me, it's like you're testing your limits, and then it's like, if this does actually happen, then how are people gonna use that? Because like you said, it's scary this day and age. So like, with everything going on, how are they going to use it as a benefit for themselves? Are they going to use it as a benefit for others? You just don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the scary part, is like, with this day and age, they could do anything.
You got people that can sit here and hack these machines. Like, just imagine if somebody has a robot in their home and they can hack the robot to hurt that person. So what are we going to do then? The scary part for me, and I know in my heart, is coming. Like I was just saying, like an AI to have its own brain, because they're going to think like so much. They're going to be so much smarter than us. So any scenario that we have to try to combat them, they done already thought about it. So any scenario to do whatever, like to cut them off or whatever, they've already got an answer for it. So how would you deal with something that's indestructible? And he was talking about the jobs that people going to lose, and because he was trying to, in a sense, he was warning about AI, the guy that was talking, but in a sense, then he was saying like how AI could help so much and how we could be able to spend more time with like if we got AI, we'll be able to spend more time with our family and let AI do all the work. And I'm like, how is that even going to even make sense? Because y'all like to be here and we here. So it'll never be an equal playing field with them if AI run everything and we just able to just have this this joyful life where we could just spend all day with and just let them work. It's never gonna realistically. That's never gonna even make sense, you know. And I'm like, we just headed for destruction.
But that's the thing is like, I always like to look at the positive side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, like with what you said, like how it is nowadays and everything, it's negative and all that. I look at it as it's like God saying, you know, like, all right, it's time to separate, you know. Like, by that, I'm saying who's actually going to follow me and who's not. And it's an eye-opener for people like us. You know, there's more people like us who like to, you know, live by God, follow and everything. And you see those outside people. And the fact that, honestly, like I said, it's like a test. If you stay, you know, if you stay course, if you stay on this path and everything, then, I mean, you don't have to worry about those outcasts. And that's the only way you can look at it. You can't really do anything.
Oh, yeah, you're not stopping
because, like you said, if you speak your opinion and everything, you could get killed.
Yeah. I think, man, they didn't open the box as far as, like, and there's no closing that box of this. The way we are now, we can't close. Like, we can't go back. You know, I just be looking at stuff like, what are we going to do when they start taking a lot of these jobs that because, man, there's nothing that AI at some point won't be able to do. Because that's, you know, at some point, like we said, like they be like, well, AI only works with prompts and you got to tell it what to do. We know somebody's going to want to be the first one to create a artificial brain. We like, this is just, as humans, we see the destruction, but we don't care. When there's money involved and it can be the first one to do it, we don't care. And I think sometimes I go down my rabbit hole and I be thinking, I say, well, somebody's going to want to create an AI army. They're going to want to just do so many different things to say, I did it first. And then at some point, somebody's going to use it for bad and to try to control people. Somebody's going to want to use AI for sexual purposes. And it's only, I like, God, how far, sometimes I'll be thinking, I like, God, how far is this going to go? Because it's going to get crazy. Like, when I was telling you, like, about the Chat GPT and the erotica stuff, like, you know how crazy that's finna be? You know, when what's crazy is, you know what sorry is, huh? You seen when they was doing all, yeah. And at first, I think sometimes I just don't be getting on the internet paying attention. And like when the first video I seen little Tupac and it was Tupac and Biggie. So look, me being me, I was like, I don't know how they did that, and I just kept scrolling. And then I turn around and I just see the explosion of people just talking about it. Then I started seeing more and more videos. And then I'm watching some video and I'm like, I don't know if this real. Not the Tupac stuff, whatever, but I was something else I was watching. I said, I don't know if this real or fake, but I'm confused right now. And then I start thinking, I say, what's going to happen when they can take your face, your body, and everything and put it somewhere and do something crazy with it? And then have people for a couple hours thinking like you really did that. Or you was like, my mind just be going all kind of places. I'm like, what are we going to do? Because if they, I'm going to just spitball. If they show me somewhere kissing another man and it looks real, so for the next couple hours, you could be somewhere playing basketball or something. You can't defend yourself for a couple hours. Everybody thinking you in this video kissing this man. And it then went viral. People sharing it and just going completely crazy. How you defend it?
You can't.
It's like, what are we doing? We I don't know. I just be thinking so much, and I'm like, God, I don't know what we gonna do.
But that's the thing is like going back to like what I said when I was in high school and everything. Everybody is satisfied by other people, not for themselves. So if this is like, if they can make AI to become famous, if they can make AI to, just like you said, if you, that video, if it's a destruction on your part, but everybody else is satisfied and the creator's satisfied because they're all laughing and stuff. But I mean, look at you. You can't do anything about it.
You can't,
because it looks like you.
That's the scary part, and my mind is blown. I seen one video. They had Martin Luther King. He went into Burger King McDonald's, and he was talking and everything. It sounded just like him. Granted, you could kind of know. Of course, you know it's AI, but I'm like, the quality only going to get better and better, and I'm like, God, I'm scared because at some point this stuff is going to look so real. You're going to know, like, because like now we know we can look at a video and be like, it's creative or whatever you want to call it, but that's AI. At some point it's going to look like an actual video, and you're not going to be able to tell the difference. And I'm like, God, where we go from here? And at some point, these perverted people will take your face, your body, whatever, and put it in an awkward situation and post it on these sexual sites, and you'll never know.
Yeah, it's
it's scary. We in some scary times.
It is. But like I said, just the man that I am and everything, all you can do is just go along. I say go along with it, but just have an outside look in and just be like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be that person. And then that's where you find, that's where you find your crew. Because I don't hang out with the same people that I did in middle school, just because, morals and everything. And I surrounded myself by good people. So then, we can have those chats and everything. And actually now, it benefits me. I have a very close friend. I didn't tell him I was coming on here or anything, so I won't say his name.
Oh, gotcha.
But because I don't know how he is about public and everything. But me and him, it doesn't matter if it's over the phone, in person. I mean, even I play PlayStation, even on even in the party.
Yeah.
Like it always ends. Like we always have a conversation about like a faith-based conversation, no matter what. Like
that's awesome.
Hey, you want to catch lunch? We don't even mention it. Hey, you want to catch lunch? To talk about God or anything. It just with him, it always ends that way, and that's the people that I wanted to be surrounded by, and I surround myself by that because I'm not afraid to. I don't necessarily even have to ask you, what's your relationship with God? I can see it. I can see just by what you do, what you say and everything. And your mannerisms.
Gotcha.
And, everything like that. And it's pretty cool living that way just because like I said, in high school, I was satisfied by other people. But now I'm not necessarily focused on myself, but I'm at a point in my life where I'm satisfied with myself.
Yeah.
Over here, not spiritually. Because, like I said, there's always room for improvement. You're never going to reach that You're never going to reach that perfection.
You're never going to reach it. Yeah.
My older brother is actually my spiritual mentor. It's I like it that way just because it's cool to say that my spiritual mentor is my brother.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't have that. They see the older brother and everything. Like when you're younger, that's your idol. You wanna live like him. You know everything like that. But whenever they actually step foot and they actually put it forward to where, almost like they're that father figure. Maybe not necessarily acting.
I get what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying.
Like I have a good relationship with my parents and everything, but it's almost like I have double the amount of what I actually need, because I have a good spiritual relationship between me, God, and my dad, and then just that extra with my older brother. And I like it that way, like I said, because you can tell your older brother anything because you feel more comfortable than them with them than your parents.
I got
so I can be more open. I can be just whatever. He's just like, just speak to me and everything. And whenever I was younger, he told me this. He probably doesn't even remember, but like I said, anything like that's can have an impact on you, I always take it into consideration. It doesn't matter if I heard it when I was 8. It doesn't matter. Like, I remember certain stuff. I'm pretty sure you're the same way.
Same way.
He told me, he was like, he was good at baseball. He went and played baseball at McNeese and everything, so he was always on the road. But he'd always leave me with something, like, it's just going to be you and Griffin here, so you got to step up. And he did that. He had a long trip he was going to for a baseball tournament, and he was like, hey, I want to leave you with this, and I just want you to know. He was like, just take this into consideration. And he said, you can go to church every Sunday. Anybody can. But he said, I want you to know God really looks at what you're doing Monday through Saturday.
Yes.
He was like, because you can see anybody at Sunday on, anybody can be just chilling, going, and then Monday comes around and they can be the most evil person in the world.
Yes.
They can do whatever they want and everything. So he was like, don't be that Sunday person. He was like, if you want to, you can, but he was like, it's not going to end well.
Yeah.
He was like, and it may not end well, 2 weeks from now. He was like, it could end, something bad could happen to you that can reflect on this whenever you're 30, 40, anything, because God's timing, you can't. That's one thing you can't control.
Yeah.
And, but ever since he told me that, it's, I was always, like, I have these people and they're like, hey, like, how was Sunday and everything? And I'm like, I tell them about Sunday, but then I hit them with, I'm like, how was your week? Like, how, and they're like, what are you talking about? We're talking about Sunday. And then I'm like, well, I mean, anybody can go to church, but I'm just wondering, like, how do you feel about your Monday through Saturday?
Yeah.
And I told that to my friend that I have the spiritual talks to, and he uses that now. He don't give me credit, but he uses that.
He know where it came from.
And it's just, it's kind of weird because you're always you don't even know it, but you're always in a day of sin. You sin every day.
Every day.
It doesn't. You sin because what people don't take into consideration is that you can sin mentally. And that's the biggest thing, is like, people forget about the mental factor of it.
You're right about that.
Because you can say, oh, I did all this good stuff today. I helped this woman with her groceries and everything. But what about when you're at school? How'd you think about that girl? What? How'd you think about certain situations? Like, it could be the littlest thing, like, oh, this girl, oh, this dude's walking, let me trip him. You don't have to do it, but the fact that you thought about it,
yeah,
it's a sin. And
it is. And I definitely agree with that Monday through Saturday. I would say that to myself all the time. I was having a conversation, and I'm always having conversations with my parents. As I get older, I be liking to have those type of conversations, because I was in church one day, and when I go to my church, I do the photography and stuff, and I just often sometimes just turn and I just look at everybody, and I'm like, we all show up on Sundays, and I like that you said that, because I was thinking about that, and I'm like, what do we do during the week that shows people we are a man or woman of God? And there are so many people that feel like Sunday is enough. They really do feel like, because they get up and they go on Sundays, that it's enough, or it's going to get them something from God, or it's going to get them favor because they showed up on Sunday, and you do nothing throughout the week. There's nothing, and I'm like, what about your life shows me that you are a man or woman of God. Because we are all called in some form or fashion to be a disciple for God. Like we are supposed to be pulling people in. So what are you doing to pull somebody in? You could be passing somebody in that store and God told you to tell them something and, oh God, I don't feel like it. Maybe next time when I see him. You never know who you run across. You don't know what your calling is. Not everybody is supposed to preach, but your calling might be to start a podcast. If God, because somewhere along the line, it was placed on your heart for a reason to do it. God, he might have not said, start it tomorrow, but the seeds is planted to go ahead and do it. And I think so many times with people, it's like when God plants seeds, you don't water it. I tell people all the time, I'm not a big talker. Like I get in, I talk to you now, and I'm not saying like behind closed doors I don't talk, but I'm not like one of the ones that's gonna just always just talk your ear off. You know, I'm pretty laid back, reserved. I'm really quiet to a certain degree, but God got me out of my comfort zone. And I tell people, like, if you love God, you might as well go ahead and get ready to be out your comfort zone, because loving Him is gonna make you do things that you won't sometimes aren't comfortable doing. But you gotta do them, you know. And I'm glad that you said that Monday, you know, during the week, because there's a lot of people downfall is thinking that Sunday is enough. That's crazy that you said that, which is very, very subtle, but it's very powerful. Because so many people lost in thinking that, and it's not that way. It's not. I tell my wife all the time, too, I'm like, man, all that knowledge you got of the word in the Bible, who you sharing it with? What's the point of getting all the knowledge and not sharing it? That's like, I look and I'm like, that's crazy to me. To get all the knowledge and you understand the word and you can go out and share it with somebody. Share a verse of the day. Pick up your phone and say, hey, God placed this on my heart to say, don't worry about the views. You did something God wanted you to do. Somebody's going to hear it. And then at some point, they're going to be waiting for you, for the next one, for you to do it. And at some point, it's going to be like, if he don't post the verse, something going on. And they might check up on you. Say, hey, I'm just checking on you. I don't see the verse of the day or whatever it is that you do. But, man, share that knowledge. And I can just tell, talking to you, man, you got a lot of knowledge. Like, the story you know, that's part of your life forever. More people need to hear it. You some kind of way, God, I don't know if you make a TikTok. I don't know if whatever it is, you need to share it. You need to show people, like, hey, I went through this traumatic thing. I'm still here. I love God more than ever. You know, man, that's so, like, it's crazy because when you said, I'm like, people would have made an excuse not to love God. Like, this happened to me, so I'm going to use it as a crutch. And there's so many people that look for any reason not to lean on God, not to live for God. It's like, oh, I've been through this, so I'm going to get high all the time. Like, I see people tell stories like, my best friend died, I'm going to just get high all the time. And I'm like, what kind of life is that? You know, we want to be sympathetic to your pain, but what kind of life is that? You know, and for you to share it, to feel the way you feel, I felt your pain. You know me, I'm not a big crybaby, but it's just certain things that touch my heart and I feel it. Like, I can tell if somebody just feed me a story, but I can also tell somebody when they sincere about the story, when it's just certain things that they do while they telling the story that lets you know, like, yeah, this hit me a certain way. This ain't just for people to gravitate to it. Like, this is me, you know. So I just really want to say that, man. I think that's really, man, that's really powerful for you to share that. But I want to say that, like, more people need to hear it. So I really want you to start that podcast. I really do. I think you at some point going to Lafayette, there's gonna be where you need to be. Like I told you, like I feel like that's where I wanted to be, but I don't know. God just taking me on some journey that I don't know where we going, but I'm just along for the ride. But I'm telling you, like, more people will gravitate to it. More people will want to come on. I know you can do big things, amazing things, and you're doing it for the right reason.
Yeah, I try. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
But that's what people should care about, is like, I mean, it doesn't matter, relationships, anything in the world. Like, what people should care about is effort. I mean, and that's the thing is, like, there's always an open door for, like, for you to thank God or for you to think, like, God did this for a reason. So, like, what's not to say, like, let's say I do start that podcast and I go to Lafayette and everything and I have this place and everything and I'm like, hey, you wanna collab? Like, you wanna come on mine since I got on yours?
Yeah.
And then you get that spotlight of like, hey, so I did get to make it to Lafayette. Maybe it's not for the reason. Maybe I'm not here for, the long run, but I got to do it, in a sense and just to see what it feels like.
Yeah.
And I think I became, because I'm gonna be honest, like you. There was a point in time where I wasn't a big talker. Like I was not necessarily shy, but I never voiced my opinion. And I broke out of that after the mishap of my senior skip day. But like you said, I mean, you learn messages. You get a message from God from any given, any given point in time, and I don't. Every time, like I speak out and everything, it's not a reflection of God, but take it in that sense because that's just how I live my life. And I'm not saying to like, listen to everything I have to say and, go up on it because, like you said, free will. Everybody has free will. You don't have to do what I say, but at least, if you pay attention to everything, I could teach you something along the way.
Yes.
Like you said that whenever you said 50 people could be listening to my story, I could just hit one, but that makes a difference. And but that's where, whenever I had that mindset, I learned to speak out because you're always gonna hit the right crowd if you have the right things to say.
Yes.
In any given sense, because everybody's mind's different. So that's how you spread. When you spread messages, that's how you get a branch. Like you said, you plant this seed, but I mean, look at it in like a tree perspective.
Yes.
Branches out, because people take it in different perspectives, and they could. Some be positive, some be negative. With this day and age, it goes both ways. It goes hand in hand. But it's always going to be, if you have the right message and everything, and you know what you're saying, you know what you're doing, and you live by what you're saying and doing, then that tree's just going to outshine.
Yeah, it will.
Then it's like all the negative stuff, it branches out, but I'll put a metaphor because I like to write. I'll put a metaphor because I wrote this one time because that's why I'm saying this is the tree perspective is like this. So with the seasons, leaves fall. Just think of the leaves on the tree as messages. Not all the leaves fall, but if you have a healthy tree, you got the root system.
Yeah.
So you should base it off your root system because trees always change above ground. But if you have that same root system, you can't really change it. You can only make it branch out more.
I like that. And that's something, and I like how you said that because there's something that I had to learn along the way on my journey is it's not going to always be the way you want it, but it's going to be the way that you need it. And I remember, and I'm gonna say this before you go because I need to let you guys see we've been at it for a while. But I'm gonna say this.
Oh, I can chat.
I see, but Man, I learned along the way of this journey of, and I can go back to, man, when I first started, when God first gave me the vision to want a podcast, want to just do certain things in this area. It wasn't for me to be like, I'm gonna say in my mind, it wasn't for me to do it alone. And it was, and I always thought it was supposed to be me and my other two cousins. I was like, man, God gave me this vision for this, man, it's gonna be us three. We gonna do so many different things. And somewhere along this journey, I had, I guess, lost my way in a sense, because, you know, when you attach yourself to other people that don't necessarily want to grow the way you want to grow. And for a while, I, in a sense, lost my purpose. Because it's like, if y'all don't want to do it, God, did you give me the vision to do it, or was something I just jumped out the window and wanted to do? And for the longest, I tell people this, man, for the longest I stayed, I call it the wilderness, because I stayed stuck for like 3 years. Because, man, some of this equipment I've been having for like 4 years, 5 years. Before like podcasting really jumped off, I had some of this equipment already, because God had told me, God had gave me the vision, like, start a podcast, and I was like, God, I'm not a talker. Like, I talk behind closed doors to everybody, but I don't want to share with the world. Like, but I did it. And one of the mistakes that I made, and I would tell anybody this, is when God gives you a vision, that doesn't mean that the people that you're around at that moment, you're supposed to grow with. God might be saying, this is your journey that you have to go on, because I want to build you up. I want to make you strong. I want to make sure that you can handle whatever this world throw at you, and I don't want you to have a crutch. I didn't understand it. I was upset with God, like, for a whole, man, like for 2 years, I would just wake up angry, because I'm like, God, I spent this money, I did this, I did that. And, man, at some point, I grew in my faith, and I had to understand, like, God never told me to do a lot of the things, make a lot of the decisions that I made. So why am I mad at God for my situations? And he didn't tell me to do that. I just assumed. I didn't be patient. I didn't continuously, like, pray and, God, am I making the right decision? Am I allowing you to guide my steps? God, is this the right thing? I just went with it. And I would tell anybody, don't get upset. Just pray. Seek. Like, when you do your podcast, I don't know if you have certain things of how you want it. I don't know if it's going to be you and somebody else. I don't know if it's a solo thing. But I would, man, the best advice I can give you, and really you already on the, like, you know, I know you're going to go to God for everything. I had to learn it, and I had to go through my own personal struggles, my own battle, my own demons, and just angry and upset and frustrated, and the whole time I didn't realize God was building me to be strong on my own. Like, before, I couldn't see myself sitting here doing a solo podcast, just talking. I had to have somebody here and here to feel comfortable. And the whole time, God, the last couple of years, God has just been building me up to say, hey, I got you. You're never alone. You can do this by yourself. I do photography and all that. Like, I be out there by myself, and I'm talking about looking, I say, I was so stuck in my mind, not realizing I was doing it by myself the whole time. And like you say, God is mysterious. You don't even know what God's doing, and when you really look back, you be like, you was with me the whole time.
Yeah, you go, but that's how everybody says it and everything, but you don't realize it. Like you said, you didn't realize it, but you got to find yourself first.
Yes.
And then, but that's why, like you said, the comfortableness of having somebody here and here, but what about, because they're not always going to be here and here.
Yes.
In some situations, you're going to be alone. You're going to be, and if you think about it, you're always alone in your head, in your mental battle, you know? And but when you find that like satisfaction, you find that comfortableness, then you feel a lot better as a person. And then that's where you can honestly say like, because that's what happened to me is I got comfortable with myself to be able to spread messages, to
Yeah.
be able to spread, you know, be that talkative person, be where I'm at today. Um, but if you never attempt to, because he can only do so much, but he does that on purpose. That's what
Yeah.
I've learned. He does it on purpose because if he gave you the world, then what's the worth? Like why aren't we? If he gave you the world and he controlled it and everything, we wouldn't even be here. We'd already be in heaven.
Yeah.
But you have to go through this
to
to learn as a person. And like I said earlier, it's earned, not given,
yes.
because he wants you to earn it.
Yeah.
But the free will of it is, if you want to, you can have it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Ultimately, I just look back and I say, like, and you said this earlier, like God gives you what you need. I needed it this way, and it was times where like I would fight with God, and I would like God, I want to do it my way. You know, I don't know if you ever like I want to God. I know you telling me to do it this way, but I want to do it my way because I think my way will work. And time again, my way didn't work. And then I go back and I'm mad at God like he did it. I'm like, God, I'm putting all my chips on the table. I'm showing them man, I can tell you, man, God didn't show us so many things, man. It was one time we started the clothing line, the Humble and Blessed, man, and like in 3 months, we made like $10,000, you know, and that was like God is showing us like this can be successful. And after that, it kind of just faded away. And I'm like, God, what we doing here? And once again, God say, I didn't tell you to do that. None of what you've done, I told you to do. I gave you a vision for it. You didn't lay a blueprint down. You didn't put a plan together. You just, once again, I give you something, you just take off running without sitting and be still and planning and making sure everything is in order for the longevity of what I'm giving you. You just want to just take it and run. And, man, through the last 2 years, I've learned to just let me sit and be patient. Let me make sure God is working in this before I do anything. And I sit back sometime and I look and I like, God, when I go back and I'm watching to edit all this and I'm like, I never pictured my life like this. Like I never pictured, because I always picture myself like I'm a team player. Like I want a team around me. I want this. I don't want to do it by myself. And I'm like, well, maybe God is building me up. So when everything else is in place, I'm prepared for it. But I never picture myself just sitting here doing this podcast, and God has His way.
Yeah, and the way that I can see it is like your clothing line right there, or this whole thing as a whole. It's not about, people can, like you said, the $10,000 and everything, but they can do it. It helps you. They can say, oh, like, I have this on my chest, so, I'm doing my part, kind of like the Sunday thing with church.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm helping out this, but if they don't know about it, then what are you doing it for? Because obviously you can see, like, Humble and Blessed, it's a clothing line and everything, but you made it for a reason.
Yeah.
They don't really think about the image. They don't think about, like, the brighter side of things. It's just, like, because, like, if I were to wear it, since I've been here and everything, and I respect what you're doing and everything, and I understand, and I've watched all your episodes and everything, I'd wear it because I know the message. I wouldn't just say, oh, I'm about to help this dude out. I'm about to just wear this because it looks clean. I'm about to,
Yeah,
like,
I get it.
I'd wear it, and then they'd be like, what is that? Then that gives me an open door to be
True.
like, so here's my message. This is what I can say. Humble and blessed. It's not just a podcast. It has an image. It has, you got to be serious to go on it. It has all these things. It's not just, oh, this looks cool, so I'm gonna wear it.
Yeah.
People are gonna be like, and it brings, because obviously if it's something new, it's gonna bring attention, and they're gonna be like, what's that
A
about?
conversation.
So I think outside of the materialistic things, like you said, like the $10,000, and then it declined.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about it, out of that $10,000 made by the people, you probably have a little bit of people that are talking about it. It's not just, oh, I made this $10,000. But that's where you said, like, the materialistic things, they shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, like, I got all this money and everything, but now that it declines, I don't have the money anymore from the clothes.
Yeah.
But are people spreading people are spreading my message and everything? And obviously, it's getting somewhere. I saw this on social media. That's why I wanted to be a part of it, just because I heard from Patrick what it was about. You don't want to go on just any podcast. You don't want to, because like you said earlier, your opinions, they could get you hurt. Everything like that. But from hearing what he had to say on here and the questions that you asked and everything like that, it's just, that's what made me, that's what made me like want to be on here, because it seems like a good foundation.
Yeah.
And then it's also motivating to see you like this, to have these people, and then you have like some, like my local friends, like all these local people, and just to see that there is like that spark, that there's people like us.
Yeah.
That it kind of brings that motivation to be like, you know what, I have this image, I want to keep it going. So you bring more people like this and everything, and then it opens up, like Bryce Crawford. I mean, he branched out from people that are just like him to, like you said, he goes on the streets and he's preaching to people that don't know about God. I seen a video, one of his most recent ones. He went to a like Satanist town. Like, that's how crazy he is. Like,
I'm gonna have to go watch.
And like, no, he was like bold questions, like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong with him? He goes and they have like in that video, like, he does not. It's crazy, but it's like, it's motivating, because he goes into this. They have a Satanist museum at this town where he went.
Wow.
And he went, and this they have a statue of Satan, like, in there, and it's like blocked off and everything, and like you can have a one-on-one conversation, and it's like in this dark room, and he goes, and in front of people, you can walk past it. People are just walking through, because it's a room where it has two doors. You can just walk through. He stays, and people are just like watching him and everything, and he's just praying over this thing. He does not care. But that's what I'm saying is it's motivating, just to have that much power. Like, he is at one of the most satanic places in the world, and he's praying over a statue of Satan.
Yeah, that's the thing where, man, like, there's no fear. There's no, I don't care what people think. I don't care what they say. I'ma just do. And I think that's an amazing thing to be able to be like, you know what? I don't care what nobody say. I'ma just do what God tell me to do. And I think so many times us, like, we are second guess what God told us to do. And that's one thing I'm learning is, like, whatever God wants you to do, it's not gonna be how you think it's gonna be. And that's one thing that I learned is, like, it's never gonna be the way you think it's gonna be. Like, if God told you to do this, it's not, in your mind you be like, okay, God told me to do this, and it's gonna go this, it's gonna be like this, and this. It's not. And I learned, I'm like, I get it now, Lord. God, Jesus, I understand now when you say do this, it's gonna go like this. Prime example, like I said with the podcast stuff, you told me to do it. And in my mind, I say, oh, it's gonna be like this. And we tried it. I tried it, and it faded out. It went nowhere, and I'm here now. And that's why I say it's a true testimony to say, be patient, listen to God, seek him, and know that he's going to put the everything, but just in your mind, just go in it, just say, God, I'm just gonna, whatever you told me to do, I'm gonna just be here. And don't go in it thinking no other way, because it's not gonna go the way that you think it's gonna go. You know, and that's what I love about God. You know, life takes you in strange places. I'll just say that, and put you in scenarios you didn't know you needed. And I think, like, and that's why I say I go back to, I know that you was meant to be, you was meant to come here, you was meant to just see. And that's why the first thing I always say is, whatever advice you need, whatever, I'm gonna guide you in the right direction, so that way you don't make the same mistakes I did, or purchase something that's unnecessary or whatever. Like, this is what I'm here for. You know, I'm here to, hey, no, don't go get this. It's gonna make it easy for y'all. Buy this or do this, or you don't have to go spend this amount of money on this. Go, buy this, and it's gonna give you the same quality. It's gonna do the same thing. You know, that's one thing that I'm big on is, if I can help you, if I can give you some advice, that's what I'm going to do.
I'm trying to spread positivity, but also, with the positivity, you have to say the negative things.
Mm-hmm.
And some people don't want to hear that, but the truth hurts sometimes.
It definitely does.
I'll be honest. This was not necessarily like, it was off the top of the head, but I got more to say, But that's the bright side of things is.
Well, you know what? I'm honest. I'm actually glad that you didn't say everything, so that way you can come back and we can make another video, and I can kind of just spread it out. So I'm glad that you didn't say everything, and you can come back, because I definitely want to have you come back. I think it's something that that's needed, and I want you to talk. I want you to share. I want you. And I'm pretty sure by the time you come back, maybe God placed something else, on your heart to say that, and then whatever, he placed on your heart to say that somebody needs to hear.
Yeah.
Because, man, I think at this point in time, we need to talk. We need to share. We need to tell people how good God is. But also at the same time, like, know there is going to be trials and tribulations when you living for God. I think people sometimes, because we're Christians, we men or women of God, they assume like it's going to be easy. Like God is going to shield you from everything. You're not going to go through anything, and it's just going to be all good. And it's not. It's not all good. That's
the outside image of it. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're good with God and everything," but it's a test. It's a roller coaster. Best way to put it.
Yes, it is.
But that's how he wants it to be, because if you want to be where God's at, you'll never be, but you have to go through. If you actually read the Bible and everything, there's way more to it than, like they're like, oh, like he got crucified, he got all this done to him and everything, but there's a lot more. If you actually read it,
it's a lot
more. Even just the smallest things that he's went through, but that's the thing is that's why I think God is good and everything, because he'll never put you through what he actually went through, but he'll give it to you in a sense of like, hey, you sure you want to go through this?
Yes.
Like this is what I went through, and if you want to be like me, then
Yes. I like that you said that, man. We when you take this walk, it's a test. Like, you're gonna go through a lot of tests. You're gonna go through, man, I done went through the God, am I worthy enough? Or, you know, like you said, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody that love God didn't say, God, do you really love me? But I think where I made the mistake is we can get caught up in our own world. And this is why another reason why like I love talking to people. I love to hear people's stories because it's a reality check for me. I can get caught up and be like, I'm the only one going through this. Then you start to talking to other people and you realize like people really going through life, like real life stuff. You're not the only one. And what you're complaining about is small compared to what other people are going through. So that's another reason why like I now realize I need to talk. I love to talk. I love to just hear what people going through because it's like, this is what you was upset about? And this person is going through this. Like, and then I'll be like, hey, later in that I'll be like, God, I'm sorry. Like I'm tripping, I'm on something. That's why I tell people, you never want to isolate yourself so much to where it's like, you really thinking like God don't love you.
And it's easy to say. It's easy to say, God, I'm sorry. Because that's the thing, though, is like, I hear it all the time from, people. They're like, I prayed and everything, and it's kind of reflects back to the Monday through Saturday thing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can pray and everything, but, I actually am I'm a victim of it. Something bad would happen, I'd pray about it. But now it's in a better spot. I pray before I get behind the wheel. I pray before every meal. I pray,
yes.
Every single thing that has whatever I'm doing in life, that I'm blessed about,
You're praying about
it, just because it's easy. It's easy to say, like, I pray, I do all this, I go to church on Sundays, but, when you actually feel blessed about it, that's why in the message that I sent you about my upbringing and everything, I didn't say I was in a, I was in a good household or anything. I said I was in a blessed household.
Yeah, you did say that.
I said, because being blessed is not always positive. It's not.
It's not, especially when you got loving parents, because sometimes they do stuff and you not even realizing like they really love you. You looking at it like you trying to punish me, and it's not, But man, to be in a place with God is it's a blessing.
Because here's the thing, we don't have to agree. We don't have to agree, but that's the thing where lessons can be learned.
Yeah, and what's funny that I realized is I can, just because I'm older than you, I still can learn from you. That's one thing like I'm very big on now is like being open to hear, listen, and learn. And like you said, we don't always have to agree on everything, but it could be a conversation where you could tell me something and I take it in and I go back and I'll go look it up and research, and then, you know what, we can come back and we can talk about it again. I think that's one thing that over the past couple of years, I've really been big on is just listening and receiving instead of listening to argue. Let me take it in. Let me understand why you feel that way. Why why you saying what you're saying, or why is your stance on this? And then you can pull it out and you can send me links, or you can say, hey, this is I think this is why I read this, or I watched this video, go check it out, and we'll talk about it and stuff like that. So, we gonna do that, man. But before I let you go, and like I said, you coming back, is there something you want to say before you go?
That's funny, because I was about to tell you, I was about to say I like to leave a message, like with with anybody, even in person, not on a podcast. I like to leave them with something that they can actually think about. And because Patrick's was, he said that he saw, or I think it was you actually, where it raised question, and it actually affected in a way that it made me think about it after I watched the video. And it was, what do you want to be seen doing whenever the rapture does happen? I picked it, and it made me think. So I think the best message that I have just for this first time is the best gift that you can give anybody on this like on the planet, in the world, anything, I think the best gift is just, the recognition of their existence. Whether it be, always be positive, but if you just recognize somebody, it could have an impact. Because you never know what somebody's going through,
Yes.
And even whenever, like you said earlier, whenever life's on high, like everything's good and everything, but you can humble somebody if you just recognize them and bring them back to reality.
Wow. And we going on that note because I could say something, but I don't want to drag this video out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to piggyback off of that when you come back. Definitely going to piggyback off of that, but I like how you said that, man. This is the Humble and Blessed podcast. Y'all have a blessed one. Peace.
Thanks for having me.